everyone. Welcome back to Daily Chit-chat.
This is not a lesson.
Just a relaxed conversation.
The kind you'd have with a friend when you're not trying to sound smart.
So, today we're talking about something a bit uncomfortable.
In a quiet way.
Things we care about more than we admit.
Things we say we don't care about.
But we kind of do.
Yeah, we really do.
I think most people like to believe they're very chill.
Very relaxed.
Like, oh, I don't mind.
Whatever.
I don't really care what people think.
Classic sins.
But then something small happens.
Very small.
And suddenly you're thinking about it for hours.
Or days.
Sometimes weeks.
Sometimes years, honestly.
I think we often care about things quietly.
Not in a dramatic way.
Not crying on the floor.
More like noticing.
You notice when someone doesn't reply.
You notice the tone.
The timing.
The emoji they didn't use.
And you tell yourself, it's fine.
But your brain says, is it though?
I think caring is often hidden behind pretending not to care.
That's very true.
Because caring feels risky.
Yeah, it makes you feel exposed.
If you say you don't care, you're safe.
At least on the surface.
But inside, there's still a reaction.
A small one.
Sometimes it's about people.
Very often about people.
What they think of us.
If they like us.
If we came across the right way.
If we said the wrong thing.
And usually nobody else remembers.
But you do.
I think we care a lot about being understood.
Even when we say we don't.
When someone gets us wrong.
That sticks.
Even if we laugh it off.
Even if we say, oh, it doesn't matter.
It does matter a little.
At least enough to notice.
And it's not always deep stuff.
No, sometimes it's very small.
Like how you look in a photo.
Or how you sounded in a voice message.
You might say, I don't care about photos.
But you still check it.
Maybe more than once.
Definitely more than once.
And if it's bad?
You feel it.
Not enough to panic.
But enough to think, ugh.
I think that's the key.
It's not big enough to talk about.
So we don't.
We just carry it quietly.
Another thing people care about is being included.
Yes.
Being invited.
Being remembered.
Even people who say they love being alone.
Still notice when they're not asked.
They might tell themselves, I wouldn't have gone anyway.
Which might be true.
But not being invited still feels different.
It sends a signal.
And our brains are very good at reading signals.
Even when they're not real.
We're constantly guessing.
Interpreting.
Filling in gaps.
Sometimes incorrectly.
I think we also care about appearing a certain way.
Competent.
Calm.
Put together.
Like we know what we're doing.
Even when we don't.
Especially when we don't.
Yeah?
So we pretend things don't bother us.
Because being bothered feels like weakness.
But caring isn't weakness.
It's just being human.
The funny thing is, everyone's doing it.
Quietly.
Everyone's pretending not to care.
While caring a little.
And no one's really talking about it.
Which makes it feel lonely.
But actually, it's very shared.
Very normal.
Let's get into some everyday examples.
The small moments where caring sneaks out.
The kind you might recognize immediately.
And maybe laugh at.
But for now,
if any of this feels familiar,
you're not overthinking. You're just human. You know what I find interesting?
What?
We often realize we care after we say we don't.
Yes, that moment comes later.
You say, oh, I don't care.
And then 5 minutes later,
you're replaying the situation in your head.
Word for word.
And that's usually how you know.
That you care.
If you truly didn't care, it would disappear.
You wouldn't bring it with you.
But some things follow you.
Into the next room.
Into the next day.
Sometimes into the shower.
Showers are dangerous for overthinking.
Very dangerous.
That's when you suddenly think, oh, that comment.
That one sentence.
That look.
That silence.
Silence is a big one.
Yeah, silence makes people imagine things.
If someone doesn't react,
We fill the gap.
and we usually fill it with something negative,
Rarely positive.
we don't think, oh, they're busy.
We think, did I do something?
And that's a kind of caring.
Caring about how we landed.
I think a lot of people care about being easy to deal with,
That's a good one.
not being too much,
Not being annoying.
not taking up too much space.
Emotionally or socially.
So they hold back.
They edit themselves.
They don't say what they really think.
Or they say it softer.
Or later.
Or never.
And they might say, I'm just easygoing.
But actually,
They're being careful.
very careful.
Caring often looks like being polite.
Or flexible.
Or saying, it's fine, when it's not.
That phrase does a lot of work.
It's fine can mean many things.
It rarely means fine.
I also think we care about timing.
Oh, yes.
When someone replies too late,
Or too fast.
too short,
Too long.
we don't usually say it out loud.
But we notice.
We tell ourselves we're not checking.
But we are.
We say, I didn't even look at my phone.
And then immediately look again.
That's not obsession.
That's attachment.
And attachment comes from caring.
Even when it's small.
Another thing people care about is being seen as normal,
Yes, fitting in quietly.
not standing out too much.
But also not disappearing.
It's a very narrow space.
Hard to stay in.
You want to be interesting,
But not strange.
confident,
But not arrogant.
honest.
But not awkward.
That balancing act takes energy.
A lot of it.
And people who say they don't care at all,
Usually care the most.
they've just learned to hide it well.
Or joke about it.
Humor is another cover.
Definitely.
If you laugh first,
It feels safer.
if you make fun of yourself,
No one else can.
but behind the joke,
There's often something real.
something that matters.
Even a little.
I think what's hard is admitting it to ourselves.
Not even to other people.
Just saying, yeah, that bothered me,
Without judging it.
without saying we shouldn't feel that way.
Or that it's silly.
Because once you label it as silly,
It doesn't go away.
it just gets quieter.
And heavier.
Caring doesn't always ask for action.
Sometimes it just wants to be noticed.
And maybe that's enough.
Just noticing.
Not fixing.
Not explaining.
Just saying, okay, that mattered to me.
And moving on gently.
Something else we don't talk about much is comparison.
Yeah, we pretend it's not happening.
We say, I don't compare myself to others.
But we do.
Quietly.
Automatically.
Sometimes without even noticing.
It just slips in.
You see someone's update,
A photo.
a message,
A small success.
and your mood shifts a little.
Not dramatically.
Just enough to feel it.
Enough to pause.
And you might think, oh, good for them.
And mean it.
But there's often something underneath.
A question.
Am I behind?
Should I be doing more?
Did I make the wrong choice?
That kind of thing.
We don't always envy the thing itself,
Sometimes we envy the timing.
or the feeling it represents.
Stability.
Progress.
Being settled.
I think we care about how our life looks from the outside.
Even if we say we don't.
Not in a show-off way.
More like reassurance.
Like, does this look okay?
Does this make sense?
Especially when everyone seems to be at different stages.
And moving at different speeds.
It's hard not to measure yourself,
Against something.
even if you know it's not fair,
Even if you know it's incomplete.
because you never see the full picture.
Only the highlights.
Only the parts people choose to show,
Which are usually the best parts.
or the clean parts.
Or the confident parts.
But you compare that,
to your behind the scenes,
your doubts,
your messy days.
your unfinished thoughts.
That's a very uneven comparison
Yet we still do it.
because we care.
We care about whether we're doing life right,
That phrase alone is stressful.
as if there's a correct version.
Or a checklist,
I think a lot of people care about being on track.
even if they don't know what the track is,
They just don't want to feel lost
or late.
or out of place.
That feeling can be very quiet.
It doesn't shout.
It just sits there.
You notice it when things slow down,
When you're alone,
when there's nothing to distract you.
that's when it shows up.
And instead of saying, I'm comparing myself again,
We say, I'm just thinking,
or I'm just tired,
or I'm just in a mood.
which might all be true.
But comparison is still there.
Another thing we care about is approval,
Even subtle approval.
a nod,
That makes sense.
a small sign that we're not wrong.
That we're not strange.
We don't usually ask for it directly,
We look for it indirectly,
in reactions,
in responses,
in how quickly someone agrees.
or disagrees.
And if it doesn't come,
We notice that too,
I think this is why silence feels so loud sometimes.
because it gives no feedback,
No signal.
no confirmation.
And when there's no confirmation,
We start confirming things ourselves.
usually in the worst way.
Yeah.
We don't say they're busy.
We say they didn't like it.
We don't say they didn't notice.
We say it wasn't good enough.
That's caring again.
Just wearing a different face.
Sometimes I think caring is fine.
It's unavoidable.
The problem isn't caring.
It's carrying it alone.
When you think it's just you,
When actually, it's everyone.
everyone is quietly checking where they stand
In their own way.
with different things.
At different times.
And that doesn't mean something's wrong.
It just means we're aware.
Aware of ourselves,
Aware of others.
aware of the gap between the two.
And that gap can feel uncomfortable.
But it's also very human,
Very shared.
which makes it a little lighter.
Just knowing that.
You know, once you start noticing these things,
It's hard to unsee them.
you realize caring is everywhere,
In very ordinary places.
in small reactions,
In quiet thoughts.
in the things we replay.
And the things we don't say out loud.
But I think something changes when you stop fighting it.
When you stop saying, I shouldn't care.
Because caring doesn't mean you're weak.
It usually means you're paying attention
To people,
to moments,
to how things feel.
even when it's uncomfortable.
I've noticed that when I admit I care,
Just to myself.
it actually takes some pressure off.
Yeah, it becomes quieter,
Not gone.
but softer,
You stop arguing with the feeling.
and start sitting next to it.
Like, okay, you're here.
I see you.
That's usually enough.
You don't need to fix it
Or explain it.
or turn it into a lesson.
Just letting it exist makes it lighter.
Strangely lighter.
I think people get tired from pretending they don't care.
That takes effort.
Caring itself isn't always heavy.
Hiding it is.
And when you allow yourself to care,
You also allow yourself to let go.
not immediately,
Not perfectly.
but gradually,
In small moments.
you realize not everything needs your attention.
Some things pass on their own.
Some thoughts don't come back.
Some feelings fade quietly.
And the ones that stay,
Probably matter.
they're trying to tell you something.
Even if it's small.
So maybe caring isn't something to get rid of
It's something to understand.
and to be a little kinder to.
Especially in yourself.
Because everyone's carrying something,
Even if they look relaxed.
even if they say they don't care.
Especially then.
And that shared quiet caring,
Is kind of comforting.
it reminds you you're not alone,
Not strange.
just human.
like everyone else.
All right, we'll stop here.
No big takeaway today,
Just a conversation.
and a few thoughts left on the table.
Thanks for spending some time with us,
Whether you were listening closely,
or just having us in the background.
that's perfectly fine.
We'll be back with another chat soon.
Same calm pace,
Same everyday topics.
same daily chit-chat.
Until then,
Take care.
see you next time. Bye.